What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. We're going to continue with the 1900s boxing history. But I want to discuss a fight that took place a little bit before the 1900s. It took place August 27th, 1889 in California, AC, San Francisco. And this happened to be the same year that John O'Sullivan would lift the title, heavyweight championship belt, from Jake Kilrain. And the reason why this fight is significant, it was somewhat of a starting point for the middleweight lineage. And the fighters involved in this conversation is Jack Dempsey, non-Perel, and George LeBlancy, the Fighting Marine. And what's so ironic about this is that Jack Dempsey, non-Perel, fought a Fighting Marine, as did the Manasseh Mola, Jack Dempsey, fought Gene Tunney, who was also known as the Fighting Marine. Now, Jack Dempsey was born December 15th, 1862. He was born in Ireland, but he died November 1st, 1895 in Portland, Oregon. He stood 5 foot 8 inches and weighed 128 to 152 and a quarter pounds. He was a quick moving target, very fast on his feet, and he punches well. Pretty decent combinations. Now obviously he was not a technical boxer, because that didn't develop yet. But he did move around very well for his time. And it was once said that he could defeat John O'Sullivan if given the opportunity. He would have to gain a little more weight. He was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame in 1954. He fought fighters such as Jim Fell, knocked him out in 2 rounds, Rocky Corky Turbo, Tom Henry, George Full James. Now, George Full James was a lightweight champion. John Cloud, Jimmy Murray, George LeBlancy, just to name a few. Fascinating fighter was Jack Dempsey. He was a middleweight champion of the world. You had great middleweights. George Rookie, Mike Donovan. But Jack Dempsey was the most well-known during that time. And then you had George LeBlancy. Now, he was born December 17th, 1856 in Viewpoint, South Quebec, Canada. He died May 3rd, 1918 in Lawrence, Massachusetts. He stood 5 foot 6.5 inches and weighed 140 to 160 pounds. George LeBlancy was famous for facing fighters such as Sam Biddle, Mike Lucy, Tom Henry, Tom Hinch, non-Perel Jack Dempsey, Frank Barthworth, Denny Kletchler. But what he's most famous for, in his fight on August 27, 1889, and this has haunted him for many years, was the pivot punch. Now, the pivot punch was actually a closed fist, and you punch like a hammer. It wasn't exactly illegal at the time. But it's a funny thing, because he stopped Jack Dempsey, and he was awarded the middleweight championship belt. But before he would leave the area, he would be stripped of that belt, because that quickly they made it illegal. So George LeBlancy would be a middleweight champion for about 5 minutes. He was a short, stocky young man, 5 foot 6.5 inches, but he was very strong. Didn't have any technique. He was very aggressive, swung wildly, and caught Jack Dempsey on the top of the head and put him out. That was some time, because Jack Dempsey had earlier knocked out George LeBlancy in 13 rounds. This was in 1885. So George LeBlancy and Jack Dempsey were quite familiar with one another. Now, the referee for that fight was Hamrick Cook. George LeBlancy would fight fighters such as Billy Wilson. And amazingly, he would referee a fight with Billy Wilson and Tommy Manning. He refereed Frank Taylor versus Andy Goodman. Now, Billy Wilson was a businessman in Chicago. That's where he handled most of his affairs. George LeBlancy would referee Harry Martin and Frank Taylor. That bout took place in St. Paul, Minnesota. So I'm just giving you a slight background on George LeBlancy and Jack Dempsey non-Pharrell. And I gotta tell you, during that time, it was rough because there were non-scheduled bouts. In other words, they would fight to the finish. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an insight on these two men. Jack Dempsey, non-Pharrell, and George LeBlancy, fighting Marine. I have every last one of these photos in my collection. So thanks for hanging in there with me. I just gave you a little music video on some bare knuckle fighters. This is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. All great fights and all great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. Salute to my subscribers. Salute to the bare knuckle boxers. This is one of the books I have that's 1,000 pages. All photos, bare knuckle. See you next time. Salute.